coming up on Serious Joy. Catch the Self-Study Hall replay from last week as Robbie Hunt discusses finding the joy in your journey. Subscribe now to SeriousJoy.com and find out what our leading lecturer has to say. Then, coming up this Wednesday is our monthly welcome party. A cast of star-studded Serious Joy favorites give new subscribers a behind-the-scenes tour of the magic. Coming this Wednesday to SeriousJoy.com.
Hello and welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented lightworkers and innovative influencers of our time. Our tonight's guest, Debbi Dachinger, is a certified shamanic energy healer and a UFO experiencer who's been guiding people through powerful transformations for nearly 2 decades. She leads group sessions that blend ancient shamanic practices with what she calls galactic wisdom, helping people through major spiritual shifts. For the past 18 years, she's also been sharing these insights as a host of the award-winning Dare to Dream podcast. She's also been featured on Gaia TV, Coast to Coast Radio, and countless other outlets. Tonight, we're diving into her work, connecting shamanic healing with the extraterrestrial wisdom and what that means for our spiritual evolution. I screwed that up. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Debbi right after this.
Hello, I'm Sanandra, founder of Sichi Organics. We are celebrating our 30th year anniversary as a small business with simple, clean, organic skin and hair care made with love. To celebrate our 30-year anniversary, enter code word JOY30 at checkout and you'll receive 30% off any individual Sichi skin and hair care product.
Happy anniversary, Sichi!
And we're back, and yay to Sichi. We're so proud to be growing with her and their line on TV. And it's so nice to have Debbi Dachinger here today. So please, without further ado, please welcome Step 5 Cancer, Debbi Dachinger, to our show.
Yay.
Hi.
Hi, it's amazing to be here. Thank you for the applause.
Oh, you did that quite well. It's nice to meet you. Your energy comes across very powerfully. You obviously are a light worker in truth, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. And by the way, I'm fascinated by you and what you do with astrology. So I can't wait to hear. I hope you're going to drop little, nuggets, golden nuggets, so I can find out a little more what you do. Because I think I've got a really complicated chart.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Well, after the show, stay backstage for a minute. We'll talk about it. I'll dive into it. I won't out you on the show though, but you had a lot of fortune this year. I would say we'll just put that all cancers are going to have a lot of fortune this year. So we'll watch you as a shining light to that. How did you get started on this process? This whole journey that you're on, from extraterrestrials to everything. Did it start as a young woman? Did it start later?
I was very spiritual from the time I was little, but I was on different trajectories. What I'm on right now is really unexpected. The other trajectories were actress, singer, professionally for a very long time. Yeah. And then at some point there was a shift. It was like very confusing. What do I do with this? Finally, I surrendered. And that's when I got into radio and podcasting, writing books, still very spiritual, but really skeptical, huge eye roller, especially about ET things. And then the universe laughed. And I left the country and I was doing some very deep, profound work. And I had this unexpected experience where a divine energy, I absolutely felt like it was source energy and divine feminine. And she was telling me things about myself. At the time, I found them quite beautiful, but quite confusing because I had no context. Shaman, healer, priestess, and she would not let up. So the divine kept visiting. And when I returned to the United States, Christopher, I was really confused. And I told a friend of mine who was really gifted, and he took me through some timeline regressions. And I was able to see many lifetimes as a shaman. But then the big explosion was when I saw myself specifically as a Mayan priestess leading her people. And when I went to ask her, she was so poised and gorgeous, the way she operated, where she was from, where did she get this ability to manifest at that magnitude? And she raised her finger and said, "I'm not from here," and telepathically said, "I'm from another galaxy." And I came out of that experience and I was like, "Phew, this stuff is real. I have not only had past lives, but I've had even past galactic lives, multidimensional lives." And I did at that point what I do best, which is research, journal, and throw myself into subjects, in this case, shamanism and extraterrestrials. And that's how I got here today.
Wow. What system was it from? Do you know where you're from? Like Sirius, Pleiades? Any idea?
Yeah, Pleiades. It took me a while to figure this out, and Maya specifically, MAIA.
Yeah, you kind of have Pleiades eyes. You start to see like over time. So it's interesting. And how old were you at that time, if you don't mind me asking the age?
Well, this was 6 years ago.
Oh, wow, it's recently. Okay. So yeah. Wow, interesting. So you kind of come of light just when society is then, really. I mean, the world has been waking up since about 2012. I mean, at large. So that's fascinating. From that perspective, what was the significance of the shamanism? It seems like you have found some real interesting clues between that and other things. You've been a shaman for many lives. Did you already have a knack for that or any kind of pull to that prior? I was just curious.
I had none. I had none at all. And just because I wanted to understand the information, I enrolled in some programs with some of the best shamans around the world, 6 months, 1 year. And I did one after another, after another, after another. And I really went for the information to become edified. But what happened is, because there's so many healing practices and I was immersed in these practices, I was changing rapidly. So that was quite beautiful. I went for the information, but I became a new person. And along the way, I started to get these downloads. I can tell you right now, the extraterrestrials were like, finally, she's come on board. We've been waiting for this. All my galactic families were so thrilled. And so, yes, I started recognizing in these downloads, oh, I think if what I'm understanding is correct, they have been in relation with extraterrestrials since the inception of the indigenous people. So I start researching that, and I'm coming up with phenomenal information worldwide, that this is something many of us are waking up to now, but this has been going on for them forever, and it's a very accepted part of their life.
Absolutely. I mean, I've heard with the mind culture and others that they describe what look like aliens. You know what I mean, coming to their village and describing things. We know that shamans have had these, I don't know, I guess you could say the secret mystery school kind of secrets about certain things for a long time. That I wasn't quite sure if it was preserved there or was given there. It's kind of fascinating. Did you find the shamanic information came back really quickly for you, that you got it kind of in a snap?
I worked really hard for it. You know, I am a good worker. I'm very diligent when I'm into something. That's kind of an important piece. But I did really apply myself. And then at some point, I feel like it took over. And I felt like I have to share this with the world. I have to start doing healings on people. I have to bring groups together. I have to show them what's possible. But also because I found I was able to change luminous energy field, LEF we call it. And that was so important to me, because people are going through a lot right now with the ascension, with everything happening in the world, but still being a light worker. And how do I show up? And I just felt like if I can guide people in programs once a month, it will make me feel like I'm really serving humanity at an important time. And then at the same time, I started being asked to speak in a lot of different prominent stages and TV platforms. I was very mystified, but also really honored. And I thought, wow, I feel like there's something benevolent that is asking me to be a voice for this right now. And I'm happy to, because the Japanese have had the Dogons, and that's their relationship with the extraterrestrials. The Aboriginals have had relationship. There are the people in Africa who have learned all about Sirius A, B. You might know about this, the planets, before even those telescopes were invented. And they have exceptional knowledge. So many of the different indigenous tribes and shamans have been connected with the extraterrestrials, have received healing information from the extraterrestrials. And we're talking 450,000, even prehistoric times when this has been going on.
Yeah.
So it's really yummy to know this.
It is yummy. And it's like, of course, it's in the record that's non-Western. the tribes and whatnot, that preserves the reality of the situation. Seems like our country in particular has buried under the rug. So I'm very curious about shamanic sessions, especially in modern age. Because we know kind of what it might be in historical times with tribes. What does a typical shamanic session look like, for you when you book a session?
Yeah. Well, let's say I work with somebody privately, because groups are quite different. If I were to work with you privately, the first thing we do is spend a little time. I'd ask you what's going on, and specifically, what's one thing you want to work on? What's one thing you want to change? It's generally a pattern that keeps appearing, that no matter what you apply to it, it's not going away. And then I start to rattle. And I'll ask of course, I open sacred space. And then I start to ask the different archetypes for information about you. I immediately, first thing I do is get out of the way. And I just say to myself, to the all that is, I'm a hollow bone of myself. Really, I feel like I'm just a conduit. So I ask for the information to come through me. And as I work on you and the information starts to come, I don't even want to think about what it is, because if I do, it might be really confusing. But I write it down. And then I say to you, I want you to know that the snake, which is a beautiful archetype, especially for this year, in releasing what no longer serves us. I want you to know what the snake has to say for you in particular. Then I'll tell you, and I'm actually looking at the directions around me, Atarango, which is the jaguar. And this is how we walk boldly on the earth, but also how we transcend this into death, whether it's death of self or any other kind of release. And then I go into hummingbird. Hummingbird reminds us to drink of the sweet nectar of life, but also to be still amidst the chaos. What does hummingbird want you to know? And then I go to great eagle condor. They're so powerful because they fly high above the Apus, the sacred mountains, and they can look down upon your life and they can say, Christopher, I want you to know the big picture of your life. There's this sacred piece to who you are that you're not picking up on, but we want you to own that now and start walking that path. And after we do that, I then ask, what is it you need? Do you need a soul retrieval? Do you need something to be removed from a past life that actually doesn't belong to you, but is interfering in this life? Do you need your nervous system to be worked on, or your chakras balanced? There's so many directions, but whatever I'm given, I trust. And I'll tell you just this in ending, especially with the archetypes, when I let people know, because I don't understand sometimes what's being said, people will have a big like, oh my God, that animal had that message for me. That is so appropriate, and here's why. So, of course, between that and then the actual session, which is very blissful, whatever state somebody is in, always inherently by the end, it's a complete change. And then, don't run around after a session, like allow yourself to marinate in that beauty and what's just been released and what's been brought in.
So it sounds multidimensional. I know the shamans are known to be able to kind of be, guardians of. And
Absolutely.
I found with clients, by the way, I don't know if you've come across this, but I had clients who have been experiencing shifts in their perception of reality in the last few weeks. And they're seeing other realities they're thinking. And it took me a while, but finally I was like, you need a shaman. I think you need a shaman if you're dealing with like reality shifts. What would be your immediate, cold advice that they've been watching?
Yeah, that is really interesting. I mean, on the one hand, they sound like sensitives because the veil is breaking down. And what I know, especially from extraterrestrials, we're starting to live in unprecedented times, and everything's going to start changing. Reality, the fabric is going to start changing. And because we actually are multidimensional beings, I think my first question would be for them, what is it you're perceiving? Because I want to know if they're starting to see or experience other lifetimes. I have had this happen. It happened last night. While I slept, I left this reality and I went into a completely other me and reality, and who I was with as a romantic partner and who I was surrounded by. It's for me very blissful when this happens. ones,
Mhm.
because a lot of them are pretty cool lives and careers.
Mm.
But I'd also want to know, because if it's not a shift that is making sense in the fabric of today, but something else is going on, then yes, I'd want to work with them, probably to start shutting that down so they can just remain grounded and fully here.
Wow, that's fascinating, and that's probably true too. And these people are not grounded. I know that
Mm.
that much too, and I've talked to them about that. But I actually feel the astrology shows that we are kind of cracking open the veil between dimensions, and that's from Pluto and Aquarius. It's the first time it's been there since the late 1700s. So, so I feel like we probably are getting glimpsed. The veil likely is more thin than usual, and now that it's retrograde, it's also a possibility too. So that said, you kind of dealt with a lot of, I guess, Earth magic is a way to look at it, probably. What kind of training is involved? I mean, are you down in, the jungle somewhere? you know,
Oh, it's so funny that I've never done that. The jungles have come to me.
oh,
And I
interesting.
literally started here. Well, we mentioned that I live in Los Angeles, and in my town, which is
Mhm.
in the valley, the first thing that happened is somebody connected me with a female Peruvian shaman who lives in my town.
Wow.
And so it's incredible. We would meet in the forest every week, and we would work for 8 months every week. Then I
Mm,
got accepted to this program, and
mm,
they said to me, it's 6 months, it's going to be 30 extra hours a week. And I'm like, ah. But they started doing that because of COVID. So they went
mm.
online instead of in person. Lucky me.
Wow.
And so I was able to do that. I graduated. I went right into becoming a Moon Key rights practitioner. I went right from there, once I graduated, into animal spirit medicine,
Mm,
subject I really love and is very helpful right now for
mm,
people. And then I went into a retreat, and then into the Pachacuti Mesa tradition, which is a full 1 year. I
mm.
have not had to go to the jungles so far.
They came to you. That's very cool. Well, then tell us, what are some of the more profound healing or transformative experiences that you've witnessed through your shamanic work, either personally or with clients? Have you seen anything we would have a hard time believing? Not that
Yeah.
I'm downing in you. I just know these things are like that.
No, of course, of course. I've had so many clients. Okay. I'll reference some things recently, because I do a lot of group healings, once a
Mm,
month group healings. And why this is kind of a good blind test is,
mm,
I don't know what people are sitting on when I work with them in a group, but I do the same process. I get out of the way, and
mhm,
it's quite beautiful where we go together. The
mm,
first thing we do is release what no longer serves us. We literally burn it away in grandfather fire. And then we transmute into some kind of rite and ceremony. Their eyes are closed, and they're just receiving. I am being helped by the Galactics for each of them. I'm
mm,
being helped by the shamanic lineage for each of them. I
mm.
had a gentleman, and again, I wouldn't have known, but he kept coming back month after month. He's in his 50s, and he said, Debbi, I've been a smoker almost my whole life. When
Mm,
I finished the first group session, I thought, I don't want to have a cigarette. And so he stopped. And I wanted to
mm.
check, because I figured a cigarette smoker, that's tough, right? He probably went back. And I asked the next month and the month after, and he said, nope, never picked him up again. And that,
Wow.
I thought, that is incredible.
No,
And I've
totally.
had, other people who have literally seen past lives, like heavy, dense energy be removed from them. They've seen their past lives be healed. I also had a gal who had some sexual trauma, very high functioning, works as a therapist, but she had something in her past that still was creeping up a wee bit. And she
Mm,
said, I'm just done, whatever we need to do. And so in that one, that was a soul retrieval. I
mm,
needed to get that part of her as a young adult that had terrible things done
mm,
and froze. That's what a soul retrieval is, right? The piece of the soul that was traumatized is out here. The rest of us carries on. And we go back and we reclaim that and reintegrate it into the being. And it's magnificent who she's become. And I was able to give
mm,
her also her animal spirit totem. So
mm.
she's also never alone going forward. She's very protected by this animal.
It's interesting what you bring up. Also, I think is what they claim is part of hauntings is like if someone is murdered tragically or something, there's a piece of them left behind at the murder scene. That's the ghost energy. That's the phenomenon. And I've heard this new reclaiming. Is that what it's called? Forgive me. You just said reclaiming, or is the term?
Yes. And for her, we reclaimed her piece of soul. Yes.
I mean, we've just been hearing about it in the last few shows we've shot, which is really interesting. It's coming into us now. Interesting thing. So you say there's some intricate connections between shamanism and extraterrestrial phenomenon. Can you explain what these are and why it's so significant in your heart?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is really significant in my heart. And I just know that it's the truth. And once I knew it to be true, I was able to get into magnificent conversations with people like Daryl Anka and Lisa Royal Holt and Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon, and many other folks like that. And this hypothesis, which is what it felt like at the time, I wanted to find out from people who channel the extraterrestrials, like, am I on the right path? And none of them heard each other. None of them saw the recording of the other person. And it was a project that I created. And to a person or an extraterrestrial being, they were verifying historically that this has been true. Wendy Kennedy actually explained to me, because I was wondering, there's a lot of interesting things. I'll just say this as an aside. There's a lot of very interesting things around groups such as Jewish people or indigenous people, just as examples, who have been had terrible things done to them throughout history, but there's also an ET component to it. And so in particular with the indigenous, that they've always known that there's animism in everything. There is a soul in everything, in a plant, in a river, in a mountain, in the earth, and that they've always treated everything, the animals, etc., with such deep respect. They don't use any of these as a resource. They contribute. If they take, they give. There's a prayer, etc. They're in relationship to. And so they are also with the extraterrestrials. So it is said, and Wendy was explaining this, that the indigenous were put here by the extraterrestrials, that they're not even earth beings. And I said, but why? Why have they been so mistreated, and as though they're a third world country and terrible stuff? And she said, because when you have beings like that of the light, that are so high vibrational, that come with so much wisdom contained, that actually know the way to peace for the earth and for humanity, that's when humans get triggered subconsciously and go after the groups. And very interesting information.
It is interesting. And it explains a lot. There's always been, seems like, way too much hostility towards natives. Like, and it's just, come on, we all come from that. It's just over, above and beyond what happened in the early United States, but also, what's happened in tribes in Africa. So that's interesting that we all have kind of a subconscious understanding that they're maybe favored. If the world blows up, they're going to get picked up and to get it right off.
If I may say, it's very interesting that you say that, because something I'm talking about a lot right now, and I just did a presentation on, is about the inner earth beings.
Oh, yeah.
And so in particular, something, and again, this is an aside, but it's fascinating, the ant beings. And when you talk about these people being saved, when I was doing all my research and I found out, the ant beings, who are an advanced civilization of beings, but look very much like ants, but are bipedal, the ant beings saved in the earth cataclysms, fire, ice, flood, they saved the virtuous people. And one of the virtuous people were the Hopi Indians. And I was like, wow, that sounds very religious. And I just can't believe the ant people were into religion. So my download with that, and again, I went out to verify with virtuous, goes right back into, they knew how to treat the land. They knew how to treat others. They knew that they were part of the cosmic fabric of life. And so absolutely, the ant beings had a knowing of this and brought them underground for the cataclysm, taught them how to store food, how to eat, all the things, shared their lives with them. They say that's why those ant beings have such skinny waists. So
really?
Food. And then when it was safe, brought them back up, those who wanted to restart atop of the earth-bound life went back, and some of them remained inside.
Yeah, apparently a lot is underground. From what I hear, like we had a big party going on down there with maybe Antarctica being like an entranceway too. I've heard that too.
Right.
How do you help people who are having their own unexplained experiences or encounters? Like, I mean, it's coming up with me. People are coming to me because that I'm that guy, but I'm getting weird stories. I have no context for, in particular. But what's your approach to supporting someone who might be confused or frightened or just kind of shocked by the phenomenon?
Yeah. And do you mean extraterrestrial phenomenon or just being alive right now?
I mean, being alive. I mean, people are waking up. Yeah. But also, like in the case of my friends, it's like they're seeing in between worlds, they're seeing like weird things, floating in the air. Like it sounds multidimensional. It sounds like fourth dimension between us, but but still, like I didn't not quite know what to tell them. Normally, I got some nice astrology garb to throw at them, but not this time. So how do you approach that? I mean, for a person.
I mean, it's kind of the way I deal with a lot of people right now because the sensitives are feeling a lot. The sensitives are tending to get a little confused or overwhelmed because they're feeling everything, but also seeing everything. But it's, the reminder, first of all, you're a light worker. You came here, your soul chose this time to do this work.
Yeah.
And you came here to be a way shower. So there's that reminder of who you truly be. And then the other part is I would absolutely work with their body, with their luminous energy field. I have a pendulum. So again, I get out of the way. I don't ever like to think I know what's happening for somebody, but I ask the indigenous to be with me. I bring in my shamanic lineage. I bring in my galactic loving folks and theirs as well to be a part of this. And then I ask them to see what's happening, point me in the right direction. In the case of what you're talking about, it feels to me like two things, like there is a chakra the grounding was the first thing. Second of all, there's a chakra really off. And my sense is it is unplugged, like it is not even closed down. So I would find that source. And then the next thing is I would look for a rip in their luminous energy field. And all of that would be healed during this session.
A rip in their field. Now, what is that? There's something you get stuck on a coffee table and like, how does that come to be?
It's a great title for a book.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
A rip in the field means that something has happened. They could have gone to something, worked with somebody. Maybe they did a ceremony somewhere or worked with a healer or around a lot of other people or got involved with something. It's like attracting entities to you in a sense, but you're opening a portal inside of yourself and then things start happening that shouldn't be happening, right? They're not actually good for our mental health. So I would just find what is going on in there and then I would make sure that is well healed before I sent them back.
Very valid point. And do you find that there's a lot of rips and fields? I mean, so to speak, maybe multi-lifetime. Let me put it this way: are there those types of damage found lifetimes later? Because we had a person here who was talking about healing, and she was talking about she's healing this in the realm of spirit, but it's from many lifetimes of damage.
Absolutely. That can so exist. It's very true. The good news is when you heal something like that, it should, like when you pull a thread and everything comes, you should be pulling the thread and all the lifetime heals, all of them. It's just like when you take something on and your lineage, your ancestry is like, thank you. Thank you for doing the hard work. We have all been healed. So that's the big stuff. I would say more than the rips, although those exist, is the attachments.
Okay.
And the attachments is it's simple, but not simple. What's simple is that what we need to do is be in the highest frequency, the highest vibration. Nothing can attach to us when we're high vibe. And I know it's tough because we're humans and humans have a lot of feelings. We're anxious, we're angry, we're hurt, we're resentful, we're sad, all the things, all the feels. And so that's inherent in who we are and in being 3D. So it really is part of the journey of allowing ourselves to literally be with what is not resist it. Let it flow through us. If I'm going to be angry, what if I gave myself 5 minutes to be fully pissed off and to tell myself, you deserve to feel like that. And here's why. And then if you've ever done that before, by the way, truly allowed yourself to feel something, embody it, it transmutes like that.
Yeah.
Like after a minute, 5 minutes, you're like, oh, where did that even go? That doesn't even exist. So first let yourself feel it completely and fully. That's why you're human. And that's why some extraterrestrials look at us and say, those humans are amazing because of their feelings and their love and resilience. And then once you're done, what's next? How are we going to pick up the vibe? Are you going to dance? Are you going to sing? Are you going to go do something fun? Are you going to... It's really incumbent on us to do something to pick up the vibe, and then nothing can attach to us. And if it's attached, it's not going to want to be around us.
Especially the way I dance. But that said, so you find the attachments I find also are tied to drug abuse and alcohol abuse. Have you noticed that? Like, it just seems to be a common thread and there's a theory among us, light workers that some drugs can create a hole in your aura or, create like a space for these entities to come in. These entities, from my understanding, are fourth dimension. Is that correct? Or do you have any idea where they come from?
Oh my, entities are many different things. Some of them show up like metal pieces embedded. Some of them are reptilian. And I want to be so clear, there are good reptilians out there. They're great everything. Right?
She's pro-reptilian, everyone.
They get a bad rap, and they should have a t-shirt that says reptilians lives matter. They're actually really good reptilians.
They like you, yeah.
The negative ones we're talking about, the ones who are here to siphon, right? Because they actually feed on the negativity. There are a lot of extraterrestrial beings, other dimensional beings that get very excited when we watch the news and we get really depressed and, oh my gosh, this is going on. And how are we ever going to get out of this? When we forget we're light workers, then the energy starts going deep and it doesn't come back out. Then they're like, yummy, ready for a feast. So not just fourth dimensional, they're all over the place. And it is their job, so to speak, to do that. Kind of like those things you put in your fish tank that eat all the dirt. That's what they're like.
Yeah, it's like they're spiritual bacteria. Like it's like literally growing mold in another dimension on you or something, and feeding off our negativity. That seems to be legit. You've talked about people understanding humanity's place within the vast cosmic tapestry, is how you put it. Very poetic. What have your experiences taught you about where we fit into the larger galactic community? We as an Earth.
I hold a very positive viewpoint and a very loving, familial viewpoint. My experiences and my knowing is all very benevolent. They are really patient. They've tried with our governments for a long time. They've made deals with our governments. Our governments have not fulfilled their end. And we're living in a really interesting time when some whistleblowers are coming forward and they actually are given the okay to speak up by the governments, but to only say so much because they want the drips to start happening. So we understand that it's when it comes down the pike, we're not going to be so scared. But the only reason most people are scared are because of what we do with our media, with our news, with our films, with our televisions, which is basically to portray the extraterrestrials, its projection, as we are, that will eat you or kill you, right? If you're different. Yeah. But they're really not about that. They're so incredibly advanced than us. They're us in the future. A lot of them are our relatives. They are our cousins. We are scientifically genetically connected with thousands of species of extraterrestrials. And so they're excited that they will at some point get to start interacting. And we know that in 2026, 2027, something unprecedented is supposed to happen. And that in the next 30 years, this is all going to shift. And I want to be around for this.
Fascinating. And, let's stop right there for a second, take a little break, because we've heard a lot of that from people in your seat here, guests, over and over again, including Wendy Kennedy, that 2026 and 2027 is going to be a hot seat. When we come back, I'd like to know what you know about that. And what's your question? All right.
Hello, I'm Sanandra, founder of CG Organics. We are celebrating our 30th year anniversary as a small business with simple, clean, organic skin and hair care made with love. To celebrate our 30-year anniversary, enter code word JOY30 at checkout and you'll receive 30% off any individual CG skin and hair care product.
Happy anniversary, CG!
Season of Self-Love is just around the corner. Hi, I'm Gwen English, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new offering at Serious Joy Academy. This year, as a companion to the 40 Days of Self-Love program that Sensei Christopher has gifted to the world, it's a new course called Heart Speak Oracle, a creative path to self-love. In this course, we will use collage as a way to connect to your heart and get messages from your subconscious, your higher self, and the unseen world about what your heart is wanting to heal and express in each step awareness. I am so excited. Self-love is around the corner. Swing by Serious Joy Academy and find out more. Live, love, be.
All right, we're back here. We're talking to a person who has been on a shamanic journey, on an alien journey. Probably familiar with the show Ancient Aliens. That's probably something always were things that you've already known, right? Kind of thing. And you were speaking to that there's this period coming up in 25, 26 that allegedly some sort of a reveal. What do you know about it?
Yeah, so it's soon, right? So it's almost the end of 2026, beginning of 2027. And so what I know is that it's shrouded in secrecy, and there's probably a reason why they don't want us to know specifically how, who, what, why. The guesstimate is that it will probably be Pleiadians first because they look the most like us. Then after that, potentially the Yael, who are the hybrids, the Sasani, who are also the hybrids. But basically, they don't want to scare us. They want us to know we're here. They want us to know we'd like you to join us in the Galactic community, and we've been waiting for you. And they want to usher us in, but slowly. Because as I said, in the next 30 years, everything will change. Commerce, art, living together, having interracial, intergalactic marriages, all of that. But in the beginning, it's going to be something that finally tells the people, we are here, we have always been here, and we're coming to greet you. I'm curious because what I understand dimensionally, frequency-wise, it's very difficult for them to be here on the earth. This is an incredibly dense place to be. And so I'm curious about how they're going to show us who they are, how they're going to greet us, but I'm here for it. I'm down for it.
So you think, so is it difficult for them to just be in the atmosphere for a long time? It's not an air thing. It's just an energy thing, right? Like our emotions, I hear, are very difficult to deal with. Is that true?
No. In fact, they love us for our emotions, and especially the Greys who genetically modified themselves to have no emotions. And that's why not so much anymore, but back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, et cetera, there was so many quote unquote abductions. Now you could call them abductions, or you could say they were soul contracts. And before people came into their life, they agreed, I'm going to be part of that program, and then forgot. But that's not to not have compassion for how terrorizing that was for many people. But still, the Greys wanted and were in communication with our government saying, we need this many people. We need to get emotions back because we're actually dying off. We were so smart and so afraid of emotions that we stopped those in us. So no, the Greys, and that's why there's the Sasanis. The Sasani are Zeta Reticuli and human and so forth. But no, they love us for our emotions. They think how we love is magnificent. How we come back, how resilient we are is magnificent. And don't at all look at us like we're kindergartners, but it's more to literally be on this planet in the density in this planet. It is difficult for some of them to sustain. So I imagine it's going to be more like when people dream, when they're asleep and they wake up and they see beings in their room. It'll be more like that. Perhaps we'll be taken on spaceships and then brought back, or they'll have to project something so that we can see them and experience them.
Interesting. So it's not. So there'll be like carnival rides. You can go up in the UFO. That'd be kind of fun. But it's a formal hello, isn't it not? I mean, I hear from Wendy too. Seeing her speak, she was talking about how Wendy Kennedy, for everyone who doesn't know, she's been here a couple of times. That the United States government has been warned a few times, and they've run out of their chances, right? I mean,
that is exactly correct. Where the extraterrestrials have said, we've had to deal with you for decades. And every time, by the way, this thing we all have, this cell phone, beautiful, right? Has the whole universe on it. These cell phones are not our technology. These all our advanced technology. Some of the UAPs that we see, which is actually owned by the government, drones. So the agreement was from the extraterrestrials, we will give you this advanced technology. We would like you to tell your people the truth. We exist. We would like to start coming here and interacting. And they reneged on their agreement every time.
The government, our governments did.
Our governments did exactly. And so, yes, of late, the extraterrestrials said, well, time's up. We've been very patient, but it's really time. I mean, in the fabric of life, it's 2025, 2026. We have been ready to meet you and connect with you outside of the dream realm and time zones where we take you or interact with you. And it is time for us to start doing so as though we would on any other planet. So we're going to make ourselves known. And that's the 2026, 2027 timeframe.
Well, I would only imagine that they can see a little bit into our future. And so they're kind of waiting for a quiet time. Probably or something.
Yeah, because it's really about timelines.
Yes.
And so, it's interesting because a lot of people said, oh no, there's a new war. Oh no, now this is happening. And they pick up on these things and wonder about the timelines. From what I understand, there's a small but very decent percentage of us that when we're fully on board and operating as light workers, we can make this timeline shift happen. So that's, again, why I go back to reminding people, don't get sucked into the negativity that you see out in the world. Like, send it love and light. Absolutely. Lots of prayers. Any way you can help, whether it's etherically or by actually taking action. But remember who you are, because it's so important to where we're headed. And I want to ask you, too, because I understand we're in an unprecedented time astrologically right now in August. So for sure, we're in Lionsgate, but the peak of Lionsgate is coming up. But also there's this 1221 factor about to happen. And that there's also Venus, and it's connected with Mars, which is a really incredible time. Can you speak to that a little?
Well, I mean, we're in unprecedented times in many ways. Like, for instance, the Saturn and Neptune in early degrees of Aries, our researchers went back. We couldn't find anything in modern times. All past Jesus, past ancient, we could not find any time where we had Saturn and Neptune in the early degrees of Aries. Now, together, conjoined. Now, what that does is that unites literally like humans' control issues with human spirituality issues. So control and spirituality issues are being merged in the sign of ego. So it literally looks like we're being giving a spiritual ego from this in that perspective. That's cool, because otherwise it hasn't happened. The other thing too, of course, Pluto's in Aquarius, first time since the 1700s, but just the idea that it's happening at the same time. So Pluto's in Aquarius, right? As the same as the Revolutionary War. Uranus is in Gemini, same as World War II. Neptune has just moved in Aries, same as the Civil War. So the United States, anyways, is seeing planetary aspects that are all of our wars, all of our karma, everything we've done on a heavy scale, kind of coming back at the same time, same moment, in time. So from what I see, and there's all sorts of people who are noticing different things about astrology and the uniqueness of it. But what I look at is like the uniqueness of the spirit's investment in us, because I think the planets and where they are is investing in the human race. And we have not seen, and we go back in time, this much investment in the human race as far as giving the ego some spirituality and giving spirituality some strength. We're seeing both those trends, so we are seeing the alignment basically in the planets.
That's magnificent. Thank you for that. And isn't this also like a very potent time for manifestation, that we can create our dreams more powerfully during this month, and particular dates of the portals are really open, the 8th, the 18th, and the 21st or 22nd. And then I always remind people, I want you to manifest. That's why you're here. Have fun, co-create. But if you're going to manifest, always make sure you do something also for the planet. Very important. And then for the people, right? For all of humanity. And you can include children and women in that too. But I think these pieces, not just for us, absolutely manifest for you, but also manifest for the all. Because you can create great things right now, big things.
We're on the same exact page. I mean, from what I've been told and when I channel, the most important, if we said this staff meeting today, the most important thing we can do is create right now. Because the creation energy just outweighs the dark negative plans, 10 to 1, as far as the potency of creativity and just what it does on the planet. We've sort of lost our crayons. We've sort of lost some of our creativity. We've allowed technology to fill in those gaps. We're less in touch with those natural talents in ourselves, but creation is what it's about. Coming to this planet and creating an expression of yourself and seeing yourself in the flesh, that's what it's all about. So being creative. And yes, I mean, our personal opinion at Serious Joy is that this is the most creative period in a long time. And a lot of that's because we removed a lot of the trauma. Saturn in Pisces for the last 2.5 years has allowed us to take responsibility for our past life karma. This is the first time we've cleared past life karma since, Atlantis, since we created it. There wasn't any time in dark ages where we had the capacity and the wherewithal, as well as the information and access to people like yourself. Shaman, you are shaman energy in LA, to have shaman energy from the jungle in LA. I mean, that's pretty rare. So it's an interesting moment. There's no question about it, as far as what we're living and experiencing. I'm excited that we're here, frankly.
Yes.
A lot of people are taking off too. A lot of people are passing on. That's something that's going to happen probably in September. We're seeing a lot of a mass exodus of people who will probably get sick or just find some sort of way to exit. But a lot of people don't want to go through that the discomfort of the shift. That's what we're hearing.
Yeah, and we're very brave souls. Those of us who have chosen to be here at this time, it's like bravo to everybody here who's watching. It's no joke that in the massive line of souls who said, I'll go down at that time, I'll go down, I can do it. They weren't all chosen. There's a lot of them on the waiting list, but they chose us. And so we really believed, and they believed we could do this. It's so important to be aligned with your brilliance right now.
To be what? Say again, aligned with what?
Aligned with your brilliance right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whatever makes a person bright and shiny should be what they push forward first, I would say, like in their heart. I think there's also the resurgence of the heart too coming back this next month in Leo, where we've lost touch with like love and the giddy. I don't think we've had any of that energy since prior to COVID. So I think you'll see a lot of that coming back, but privately and quietly, probably in families, not officially the world's happy, but mom sure is, kind of thing. So we're starting to accelerate now. Now, do you have any insight on what's going to happen, between now and next summer of 2026? I mean, we know that there's going to be a surprise unveiling, but do you know anything else, or have you been told anything else in your work?
Absolutely. Everything's going to pick up. So the incidence of UFOs is going to be much greater and grander. The incidence of the news correctly reporting it, having pictures, having videos, much bigger. Everything that shows us that everything we've always believed as spiritual people connected to source, knowing all of what's out there, is going to become more and more apparent and less able to deny. So it's all in preparation. So it's all perfect. But yeah, it's going to be big and it's going to be juicy.
It's good. It's going to sell headlines. You mentioned that the work you do relates to both personal and the collective at the same time, and human evolution. How do you see this as us evolving? Where do you see the evolution in your work, or where do you cite that? Because you're the mall these days. I don't see much evolution. I was kidding.
No, well, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, and it's a really good question. So in certain ways, I do, and that's good for me. I'm a very optimistic person.
Mhm.
I tend to mostly be very joyful, and that's the best energy for me to stay in. And where I can resonate is that I see so many people waking up. Like, for
Mm.
instance, one of my clients, he was a real estate agent in Washington one day, and all of a sudden realizes he can channel the praying mantis. And now, like, he's huge in that world. He just
Wow.
finished his book. And it's like this. There is no degree of resistance or big uptake between this waking up and all of a sudden being fully on board. I'm seeing that a lot with people. So that gives me a lot of hope. If I look at the big picture, it can be a bummer, right? But I think you have to remember the good news. You have to remember the people who are waking up, the people who are suddenly doing light language and channeling and have knowledge that they shouldn't have. I think it's very exciting to see the children alone being born with full knowledge of their past lives, with full knowledge of their galactic beings. I think it is very exciting time to understand that those who are autistic are not disabled and have never been disabled, but are actually brilliant and telepathic. And a lot of labels we have given to people over time, they are erroneous. They just have a different way of functioning that is genius unto themselves. So the fact that this knowledge is coming to the forefront, I think that's really hopeful. And these are all the people taking over the world.
I agree. I can't agree more. And thank God it's for us. Staying at it year after year, right? 20 years for yourself and almost 20 for me too. So, you're kind of complete parallel here.
That's so cool.
Do you feel like humanity's ready? I mean, it seems like we are from our TV and films, that we're ready for all this. But then when you go back to like a small town in Illinois, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder, what is your feeling of our readiness?
I think there are really interesting pockets all around the world. And I know this because I have people who will come from smaller sectors around the world, and they will feel like they don't know who to connect with all of this knowledge. And so when they come to your show, my groups, they feel like, oh, I'm in my tribe and they need this. But I really think they're planted there for good reason, because we need these little lights to go off all around the world, and for those lights to find other lights who feel like they don't fit in, or how do I share this information? I really believe like this network is just going to keep growing and growing. And absolutely, I don't know how much you get to hang out with younger people. I'm very fortunate because I also sing, and I sing like medicine kind of songs. I sing in 5 languages, but a lot of the people who are into this are like in their 20s or early 30s. And I find them to be magnificent. Like, they're so on board, the way they treat each other, what they know about food, planet, toxins, all of that stuff, the way they treat people from any age group. It gives me so much hope. So I do think the ones coming up who are eventually going to inherit the world, our children and our children's children, it's good. It's good and gooder. I think it's a good message who they are right now.
That's my own saying. That's amazing. What do you think about people's ideas of shamanic work? I mean, what kind of face do you get when you tell people you're a shaman? You work in shamanic work. Contact. Like, what kind of that? How's that work at the PTA? I mean, I was curious because I know myself. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Christopher, in the beginning, I've always been really aware of which audience I'm speaking to. Here, right? But out in the world, I've always been very cautious. And then something started happening a few years ago where it's inherently this question. So tell me about your radio show. And I'm like, there's that moment. And I just don't have that hitch anymore. And I've started just saying, well, it's about channeling, extraterrestrials, and shamanism. And then people, to a man and a woman, will say, oh my God, I've had UFO experiences. Oh, that is so cool. We do drumming circles here. Oh, and people start admitting things. And I haven't had to protect myself or had anybody like, big eye roller or, okay. Right. None of that. So as far as the ET stuff, I have been so, so fortunate. But I have the moments when I'm in a situation and I'm very clear energetically who I'm talking to, and I'm just like, it's not even important. I don't need to convince anybody of anything. There's
Right.
enough great people out there. And then shamanically, I've never had somebody a naysayer. Most people get very interested because they understand that connected to shamans is healing. And a lot of people are hungry for healing right now. And so it's more about how can we work? What does that look like? What does that entail? And I think people get very excited to know they don't have to effort. They don't have to do anything with, they're not, it's not like a therapy session. You don't have to talk. You don't have to, it's none of that. You just be, literally, you be, and we'll take care of the rest.
Absolutely. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk to more about Debbi's ET experiences, her podcast, and her coaching services for lightworkers right after this.
Coming up next week on Serious Joy TV, join Sensei Christopher and co-host psychic medium Scott Cruz live on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then tune into Astro Mingle for a mega astro conversation with guest Natha Perkins of Electra Astrology. The best in enlightened entertainment, only on Serious Joy TV.
Wow, excellent. So tell us, about what you do, practically. How can people work with you?
Practically, right now, I'm not doing programs. I did a lot of that last year, but the energy I received was you need to start doing this every month. I started doing full moon ceremonies, new moon ceremonies. Then I started delivering some moon Key rites of initiation. So we initiated the seer, the pineal gland, the seer in people, and wherever you are, to start seeing more deeply. The protection, there's a way of profound manifestation and protection. So every month I do this once a month, and people join. It's all the same place. My first name has an I, no E, and my last name is a C. We say Dachinger, but Dachinger. And so it's DACHINGER, DebbiDachinger.com/healing. And so at any point you can go on there and sign up. I make it really affordable because the more people I can work with, the better off we're all going to be. So that's that. Every month it's completely different experience. Very, very healing. All I ask is that you have a candle, you're in a quiet place, and have a chair you can sit back on to receive. And then as far as privates, I've got a calendar and folks can sign up for that if they want a private session. Okay. I can't say what will help or happen because somebody needs to tell me what their situation is, and then the information comes in what direction we need to go in. But that's, to tell you the truth, that's true for the groups too, because I can have a good idea of what's going to happen and be fully prepared, but the energy of the group will really inform me of where we're going to go. Oh yeah. And even, the people we attract, I look at my guides as guidance too. I mean, look at my customers and clients and what they're coming in as also evidence of where we are, and what we can offer. So I look at it as evidence, like, oh, the world's in this place. Look at all these 4 customers that wanted this. And you have also, how long has Dare to Dream been on the air? Wow. I started 18 years ago. I told you I went through that sort of dark night of the soul, having been a professional actress and singer. And then I was suddenly like, oh my God, something else is going on. And I don't know what to do with this bit of information. But I was getting cast in more things than ever, films, TV, all of it. And it wasn't good. It wasn't in alignment. And so I couldn't figure it out. I let it go. And I tried a bunch of things. And then I was doing voiceover work. Interestingly enough, I loved that, cartoons. And I saw something in online for radio station. They were looking for somebody to do a show. And my thought process, I know the universe was laughing, but my thought process was, oh, if I do a radio show, that'll get my voice out there. That's all I was thinking about. Keep using my voice. And so I got this show and we did very well. And that was in Burbank, California. And then I was doing it for a couple of years, and all of a sudden podcasting came along. And I thought, well, that's everyone's making fun of it, but I think that sounds pretty interesting. So I kept a foot in both worlds, and it's changed a lot, Yeah, I'm wrong with you. I was in TV broadcast at 19 years ago,
video came out on the internet, people started watching, dirty films. And I was like, oh my gosh, that means real TV is going to be around the corner. Like, if you can watch video, I don't need to be in this, Kiss Butt in Burbank, I can. So same exact thing, trailing off because the technology offered, and podcast too, same thing. Yeah, it's been 19 years for me. I'm just 1 year ahead. Yeah. Interesting.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because you want to reach the most amount of people. You want to be syndicated. You want to follow technology. I mean, some technology falls off. It's not worth its salt. Right. But then there's other things. And, if you're into energy and you just get that little niggle, it's like, no, I think I need to do that. I need to follow this for a while. And I'm so grateful, Yeah. And when I changed 6 years ago, my show changed.
Oh, yeah.
It was not ETs. It was not the shamanism. It was always a little bit the channeling, but now it's just full throttle.
Congratulations. And one other exciting thing, I hear you have a free gift for us, for our audience. Can you tell us more about what your free starseed video is?
Yes. First, there's so many people who are interested in where am I from, or if you know where you're from, that you get more information, because indigenous to every one of these galactic beings is what you look like today. It's also what kind of characteristics you have that are your strengths, what are probably your weaknesses, what careers you're going to be connected with, and all the things that interest us. And so I got together with a galactic historian, Debbi Dachinger, who's like paramount in this field. And we went through 20 different species, full depth. So we've got this glorious video, plus a report you can follow along. And I just wanted to gift people, because I know so many people are fascinated by this. And that's at debbidachinger.com/starseed. So find out your ancestry and your true galactic lineage.
Very exciting. Well, I'm from Sirius, so seriously. And that's why we go by that. So it's interesting. And I'll tell you a story maybe backstage exactly how that came about. But it's really cool that people are aware of this. And your work is fantastic. I'm so grateful that you're here and doing what you do. I'm curious what both of us will be doing next, because I don't think it'll be similar, but I have a feeling there's something around the corner for us that maybe we didn't expect.
That's amazing you say that. I've had some extraordinary channelers of late, none of whom knew the other was saying that, step forward and tell me very specifically, this is not the end of the road for you. You think this is wonderful, just wait. And they've told me what it's going to be. And I'm blown away, mystified, excited, and I'm super open. And I just have to remain in that spot that I'll be guided successfully into that next gift piece of who I be. Because I tried putting things together, meditations and activations, and it's not working that way. I think my galactic family has to get involved and start to activate me on their own.
Well, come back and tell us what happens. I'd like to share notes, and I'm grateful for your time. And thank you so much for being a part of it. I'll talk to you after this backstage, and thank you for coming tonight.
Oh, Christopher, I have loved being with you, and I was really looking forward to this. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. It was great. There's so many parallels there. It's not even funny, actually. It sounds like we're have to catch up and take some notes. And also, I love having the affirmations as well. But the most important thing, I think, this is the shamanism connected to alien information. That's fascinating. I never really put those two together. So bravo on her work on that as well. Well, friends, that's it for our Friday nights. We're so happy to have you here every week. And we can talk to all these different light workers and influencers. And, have a great weekend. Sounds like the world's going to change. So enjoy the earth while it is. Until next week, we love you. Live, love, be.
Audio Jungle.